undergraduate academic journal. That's so cool. So Lauren Lutz, Shelby Hatfield.
Over here.
Shelby. Esther Wolfe. Fonts, Jared Lynch. Cameron McBride.
Technically, Mackenzie Fluharty.
Okay, all right. Jared Lynch, like you're twice. You're right. Oh, it's Wendy Fonts. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you are there twice. Ashley Starling. Okay. And they're from Ball State University. So.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Esther Wolfe, and I'm lead editor with the Digital Literature Review. The Digital Literature Review is Ball State's new digital undergraduate academic journal of literary and cultural studies. It was built this year by a team of undergraduates as part of an immersive learning class designed by Dr. Ashley Starling, who's with us back here, and Dr. W. Binks. It publishes outstanding undergraduate work on a changing annual theme. For its inaugural issue this year, the theme was historical hauntings and modern-day manifestations, and was devoted to analyzing historical and contemporary representations of ghosts and haunting. So over the course of the past year, the immersive learning class has been basically devoted to two main tasks. The first was sort of the conceptual work of exploring our chosen theme, because at the start of the year we really knew nothing about ghosts and hauntings. This involved becoming familiar with the current discourse and established body of theory surrounding ghosts and haunting. So we studied analyses of ghosts and hauntings from a range of disciplines and critical schools of thought, which included things like sociology, psychoanalysis, post-colonial studies, and gender and queer studies. With this foundation, we also aim to contribute to the current state of critical conversation by developing our own research. So this involves each student producing a capstone paper, several academic blog posts, and also a critical edition of a published ghost story. This sort of methodology and research aim to explore a couple of critical questions. One, how can we understand ghosts and hauntings as being socially, culturally, and historically inscribed or constituted? What does the study of ghosts and hauntings reveal about our historical and contemporary contexts? In what ways do ghosts and hauntings illuminate anxieties, particularly anxieties about the transgression of boundary? So boundaries such as space and time, but also of gender, race, and class. And finally, in what ways do ghosts and hauntings create opportunities for representing marginalized narratives and lives? So through this work, we aim to present ghosts and hauntings as relevant and necessary subjects worthy of analysis and critical attention, which is sort of unusual because typically ghosts and hauntings, are sort of excluded from epistemic practice and not considered, serious study. And we thought there was a lot of value there. As well as illustrate that analysis of ghosts and hauntings reveal important truths about our cultural histories and contemporary lives. So that was basically the first core task. The second core task that we tackled over the course of the past year has been just sort of the process, the material process of building an academic journal from nothing, from the ground up. So here to talk about that are representatives from our editorial, publicity, and design teams. So I'll turn things over to them.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Lutz, and I am the managing editor of the Digital Literature Review, as well as a member of the editorial team. So this year, the editorial team worked really hard to select and edit articles for this issue of the DLR. Most of our 18 members had no experience working on an undergrad research journal. So building the editorial process from scratch and then executing it successfully was a really big hurdle for all of us. Despite the level of difficulty, though, we effectively prepared 9 articles for this issue by devising a selection process to help us sift through the 21 submissions that we got, and also by creating a copy editing process to prepare the 9 chosen articles for publication. So I'll start by describing the selection process that we created for the articles. So our lead editor, Esther, she put her genius knowledge of scholarly theories to use, and so she read each article before any other editor saw them, and she gave them a yes or no to screen for the submissions that best fit the theme of our journal. So then our editorial team was broken up into 3 groups, and as Esther said yes to articles, she passed them to a traffic cop that we designated to assign articles to each team and track where they were in the editorial process. So then each editor used a rubric created by Esther to evaluate the articles based on the following criteria. First, the strength of the argument, then the clear structure of the argument, and then the relevance to the journal's theme, the participation in an ongoing scholarly discussion, and finally, the overall professional tone of writing. So as group members used this rubric as a guide for picking apart the articles, the criteria was evaluated and then categorized as either accept, revise, or reject. So we used the rubric to visualize where each article sort of stacked up against each other, against the others, as well as to help us structure feedback for each submission. So after each group chose the best articles out of the pool that they were assigned to read, the entire editorial team had a meeting around a conference table, and then we debated which articles deserved to be published in our journal. So believe me, there were some really strong opinions flying around that room as we all talked about, what we had read and what we thought about each article and things like that. But as most of the articles were written by students in our class, because we did that just so we made sure we had submissions for this first issue, we had to keep a professional tone to our debate to keep the class dynamic healthy and our team dynamic healthy. So when we finally agreed upon the 9 articles, you'll find in our journal that we have, it was time to send out rejection and then revise and resubmit letters based off of the feedback that we created from the rubrics. So we asked the 9 chosen authors to revise specific elements of their articles, like refining their arguments really clearly or like elaborating on big points. So we spent a significant amount of time writing and revising these letters because one of our main goals was to give productive feedback to each and every person who submitted to our journal. We didn't want just to tell rejected authors like, hey, you didn't get in, or accepted authors, congratulations. We wanted to provide specific reasons for all of our decisions. All right, so next I'll tell you about our copy editing process. As revised articles were received from authors and then reviewed, they were assigned to a team member on the editorial team for copy editing. So that person had a couple of days to intensely look over the article, and then 2 designated team members assessed those edits before sending it to the design team. And then the design team would format those into styled PDFs based on the layout they chose. Once that was in PDF form, line edits were made by the copy editor and then one of our professors who they served as mentors throughout this whole process. So when those edits were implemented, the PDF was updated, and we came up with articles that would be included in the journal to do that. But this process has taken a lot longer than we thought it would, the copy editing process. These PDFs have been back and forth between the editors, the professors, the design team so many times. We're actually not finished with copy editing yet. We're hoping we would be, but we just want it to be really clean before we launch it on our website. So it's still being copy edited, but it's done, not completely done. So the acts of choosing articles to publish and then copy editing were really hectic learning processes for all of us, to say the least. But we discovered what worked best for our team, and then we adjusted our processes as we moved along throughout, just to make sure that everything was working best for us. We were also really busy. The editorial team was also really busy outside of what I just described to you, because we also collaboratively wrote the introduction to our journal, and we edited author biographies, abstracts, and then a lot of the blog posts that you'll see on our blog. So yeah, there was a lot to do with the editorial team, but we were pretty successful. Yeah, so that was sort of our role. But now I'm going to turn it over to Ashley. She can talk about the publicity of our journal.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Starling and I'm speaking on behalf of the publicity team. The main responsibilities of which can be summarized in 3 main objectives. The first of which you could probably guess yourself. The publicity team had to publicize. So since the journal was envisioned to be a collection of articles from students from many universities, we couldn't just post flyers around our own campus. But we certainly did enough of that. The publicity team sent out over 100 letters to English departments across the nation. From Washington to Florida, California to Maine, we wanted to make sure that our name and our call for submissions were getting out there. And this worked. Out of the 21 total submissions that we got for this issue, 4 of them came from universities other than our own Ball State. Second, the publicity team had to unite what we were doing in the classroom with an audience that would most likely want to hear about it. We did this primarily through maintaining our social media pages, our Facebook and our Twitter. Our posts would range from ghosts in the news and interesting facts about ghosts to even giving updates on the creation of the journal itself. We would even post informative articles about graduate school so we could be a resource to students. In the 7 months that we've had our social media presence, we've gotten about 250 likes on Facebook and 150 followers on Twitter. And finally, the publicity team was in charge of the journal's blog. And we quickly learned that there's a big difference between academic blogging and social blogging. reflects our professional appearance online. Our blog posts were posted twice weekly starting in November, and now we have about 35 of them on topics such as motherhood and ghostliness and American Horror Story, the haunting of rememory and Toni Morrison's Beloved, and even on the haunted nature of theater and Shakespeare's Hamlet. Our blog has gotten about 2,000 page views, and we've had page visitors from as far away as South Africa, India, and even Australia. We've even begun to open up the blog to outside submissions, so students can now submit to the blog just as they would to the journal. So you may be hearing these numbers and thinking, well, that's not that impressive. Maybe likes on Facebook, that's nothing. But considering that less than a year ago we started with nothing, we're actually proud that we've been able to reach that many people. We know that we've built a solid foundation of an audience that next year's DLR team can